because I've read both the scientific principles of strength training and hypertrophy training, and I've noticed that they don't have any example programs at the end. And actually, I love that fact, because it sort of shows that, you know, principle one is specificity. So what's the point of just giving you this sample program? Because I've been guilty of it myself. When I've bought a 400-page book, I just flip to the last 20 pages that are sample programs and just go straight to them and do them.
Yes.
Yes. So do you want to talk a little bit about like why you didn't do that? Why you just, or was that even a thought to put some sample programs in there?
It's always a question. It's something that we feel very passionately about, and we always get a little bit of pushback on it. But I think we come at it from a good place. In that, the first issue is right. Everybody's different. There's no point in writing a sample program for something as complicated as hypertrophy, because what people are generally going to do is just try and copy and paste exactly what you write down. But that doesn't take into account any specificity, any individualization, right? So, I mean, you're basically just mimicking something without putting any real thought or effort into the process, which is what the book is trying to teach you, the process of setting up your own training to meet your goals, not just copying something else. So in the book, we do have a couple like sample progressions, and that's just looking at different exercises, intensities, volumes, and frequencies of how they might progress across like a mesocycle. But we deliberately never give any examples for that explicit reason, in that everybody's a little bit different. Everybody's going to have different wants and needs. Everybody's going to have different responses, different SFRs, etc. So there's really no point in putting a sample program down in that sense. The other problem that we run into is, this is going to sound maybe a little bit conceited on my part, but people tend to take anything that we say and just lock into it and say, why did you do close grip bench on this day, followed by, cable triceps, and then on a different day you did pec flies, but you didn't do any triceps, stuff like, just like total nitpicky weird stuff. People will just latch onto it, and then we get 1,000 questions. So one of the things we like to, Mike actually made a really brilliant Instagram post about this a long time ago, and I'm going to just steal it from him. He uses the example of saying pasta or rice, right? So when you're making carbs for yourself, would you rather have some pasta or some rice? It's virtually the same in terms of like macro micronutrient content. That if you do the macros, it's the same macros. It's the same effect. It's 50 grams of carbs. Which one do you want, pasta or rice? That's the issue, right? We just picked ones that we thought were good because we liked it. It doesn't matter if you choose pasta or rice, right? That's up to you. It has little to no effect. And that's the problem that we run into when we actually write things down explicitly, where we say, all right, on this day, you should always do, horizontal push. And people are like, why do you always do flat? It's like, you don't have to do that. You can do whatever you see fit within the boundaries of these principles that we're laying out for you. So that is a reason why we just, I think it encourages the kind of the wrong thought process, which is like copy and paste instead of thinking your way through it and trial and error and monitoring things that you do and making changes and auto-regulating along the way. That's what we want. Mm-hmm. Not just like, oh, here's the program Mike and James did. This is going to be the best one. And it's like, how could it be the best one for anybody? You got a huge spectrum of beginners to advanced. You got people who have different needs, asymmetries, different training age. It's just like, there's no way you can write sample programs to meet everybody's needs.
It is so funny that it's kind of like people come at it from a flawed perspective, because when you first go into a gym, you get a program. You don't get really taught why that program is, and then everything sort of then expands upon from there. You don't get a map, you get a place, and then you're told to figure everything out, and you don't see the map ever. You just keep wandering around and I don't know. It's you've absolutely you nailed it, and it's unfortunate because I get so many questions about people thinking that they say, oh, what is better, push pull legs or full body? And I'm like, what do you mean? Like, it's or should I train 3 or 4 days a week? I don't know, or whatever. There's so many different things, and
And I think too, like you and I have a similar background in that we've been involved in athletics and coaching athletics. And I think in that sense, it's more common to lay out a program where you say, like, this is the stuff that we're doing this week. And even then, I feel kind of reluctant to do that because, like, even in sports, it's like, okay, these teams practice on this day, these teams practice on these other days. How can you write a sample program, right? It's like, it's hard to do that. And in the strength conditioning and sporting world, I feel like it's easier to to give sample programs because they just tend to be more constrained by specificity and compared to hypertrophy training, right? So it's like, what do you need to do to be a good rugby player, soccer player, lacrosse player? Well, they tend to overlap quite a bit. There's not going to be a huge spectrum of different, volumes and intensities that you're going to be hitting. So it's a little easier to say like, okay, you're probably going to have like a push-pull kind of breakdown. If you're doing 4 days a week, it might look like this. That's easier. But with hypertrophy training, it's literally like you are the Bob Ross of your world in this regard. You can just paint that fucking picture however you want it to be, and you can have all the happy little accidents you want. Like that's what hypertrophy is.